Welcome to the Realness Podcast. I'm your host, King Shrek, with my co-host, Tony Tone. What we doing this week, baby?
Yo, so we're getting into some pretty trippy stuff. We got aliens. We got, lost civilizations. We get, all in all, we just get really deep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a UFO-led episode, so stay tuned for after the intro music.
I'm for real. I'm for real.
Realer than real.
You're now tuned into the Realness Podcast.
I got you stuck off the realness.
Realness.
Y'all feel me? Y'all feel. Y'all definitely feel.
The Expanse. It is a sci-fi show, as you know I enjoy.
Yeah.
This show is, okay, so it's set in a world, right, where we have left Earth and we've colonized Mars. And then we've also colonized outside of Jupiter, so the belt, where like all the asteroids are. They call it the belt.
Yeah.
So there's people who are born and live on the belt. There's people who are legitimately Martian, who have grown up on Marsha.
Marsha.
They've grown up on Marsha. And then Earthlings. And in this thing, it's like Mars and Earth have had these battles back and forth for like who should be like in charge of the galaxy, and the Belters feel like they're second-class citizens, and they always get, treated like shit. And in the story, like the overarching story is like this. They call it the proto-molecule, and it's like this alien kind of. It could be an alien itself or a race of people, but it seems to be like almost chemical or biological, right, in the beginning. So it's just having this effect on people and the effect on planets and the effect on stuff, and it's just kind of destroying. And then they're kind of figuring out how to manipulate the proto-molecule. And then all of a sudden this thing like takes over a ship, and it's starting to kind of learn. And it's like they're trying to shoot this ship down and like send bombs to it and shit. And Earth launches all of its entire nuclear arsenal. And the ship that is not being manned, nobody's on it, but this proto-molecule changes course to dodge the nukes.
Oh, so it's like an AI.
It's sentient.
It's like Rona in space.
It's Rona in space, bro.
Yeah.
It's Rona in space, dude. Like, it kind of is sentient and knows what it's doing. And then throughout the story, it does like crazy shit. And then later on, it starts to open up this ring that's like a teleportation, like it'll transfer you from place to place. And it was something about, like, they go through in the story and they tell you it's something about, like, the proto-molecule is trying to report back to its creators, but its creators no longer exist. So the people who would have made this thing no longer exist, and it's trying to go back, and like, so like now it's starting up these like ancient machines on planets and stuff, and stuff's starting to happen, and they're not sure exactly what it's going to do when it all goes down.
Sounds pretty dope.
Oh, the storyline overall is pretty dope because it's got this real like cosmic like argument. It's kind of like your typical Star Wars, Star Trek kind of arguments. It's like political issues in space. So there's like a lot of like Earth delegations and armies of Earth and armies of Mars and the belt, and they're trying to get supremacy of the galaxy. Right. And who's going to be in charge. It's literally like we went from countries having this argument to in the galaxy. So instead of us having this argument with Russia, it's now the United States has kind of adopted the idealism and the mantras of the United States and kind of carries out its government in that way. And so does kind of Mars. And then the belt, they seem like they kind of have like an accent. They definitely are more of a cruder people.
Yeah.
Like they've grown up like farmhand kind of working. They've never been on a planet. So their bodies are more used to 0G. Their bones are like lighter. they're used to being in space and working and being raiders and like fighting for what they want.
That's
So
crazy.
it's like almost like these pirates or blacks, if you want to make that reference. And they feel like the Earth is like the United States, and they're representative of like African Americans, where they feel like no matter what, the Earth is never going to give us what we deserve.
Yeah.
They're always going to see us as belters, as second-class citizens.
Yeah, it's like social stratification in space, which
Yep.
is kind of cool. I like I mean, why wouldn't it be that way though? You know what I'm
Seriously.
saying? Like, why wouldn't it?
I think that's the intriguing part, though, because why wouldn't it be like if we've colonized all of these areas, they would start arguing amongst each other of who was to be the leader of the galaxy, and who, just like we have right now, we're the United States, we're the best, we're the everything. You know what I mean? And we would die to make sure we would. If you let us, we would go ahead and make the United States every country.
Yeah,
We would do that.
which is ridiculous.
Which
but
is ridiculous,
Yeah.
but we would.
Mhm.
You know, and we had no problem doing that. We're like, oh, you want to be another state? Cool. Now, Asia is the United States.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that idea where now the proto molecule, Earth has it, Mars hasn't, now the belt wants it. They can't be left out, and what are they going to do with it? What planet, what technology, who's doing what?
Mhm.
And there's just like these scientists in the background trying to figure out what it is and trying to figure out what to do with it and how to do whatever they're doing with it. It's a good story.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
good story. It's on Amazon. It's an Amazon Prime joint.
Oh yeah.
So
I just saw
suggest.
an amazing Prime space documentary myself.
Okay, hit me.
So probably the best documentary that I've seen on like UFOs in general. Like, it's called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
Okay.
And I may be a little bit late on this one. I think it came out in 2020. A lot of people might have already seen it, but it has the best footage of like UFOs. They even have like captures of what they say is a real alien.
Really?
But it's overall a very, very trippy documentary. So basically, the main person in this is Dr. Stephen Greer, who's done a lot of this work in the 70s where he's trying to make contact with aliens, right?
Okay.
So that's the Close Encounter of the Fifth Kind. So you have all the 4 or 5 the 5 levels, right? So the first Close Encounters of the First Kind is going to be like seeing a UFO.
Right.
Second is going to be they've come to Earth and made some sort of imprint. So you'd think of like crop circles or
Right.
something like that. Third is actually having like physical contact with like an alien or something like that. Fourth is going to be abduction.
Okay.
And then fifth is going to be proactively trying to communicate with the beings
I didn't know
and
this.
making contact.
I did not know that this was actually. We know it because of the movies and stuff,
Right.
but I didn't know that this was an actual scale.
Yeah, it's
That
their
is-
scale.
It's an actual scale, and it means something. Which, by what you have said, we've definitely had all of those things.
Yeah, for sure.
Where we've definitely seen crop circles. There's definitely studies and people who have seen and been abducted, and now we are trying to talk to them. So continue.
No, yeah, amazing documentary. But like, anyway, the dude even has an app. I looked it up. I didn't get it because it was $10.
Right.
But it's called CE5, and it gives you like the whole protocols on how to like communicate with the aliens. And it's kind of a trip. So
Really?
I know like a basic breakdown of it, and how he explains it in the documentary is that they use meditation, right? So a lot of it is like mental connection with the UFOs or the beings or whatever.
Okay.
So he started this out in the 70s, started getting groups of people, and they would go out to these hot spots, and they would all gather and they would meditate, and basically they would they would feel the presence of the aliens or whatever out in the universe, in space. Once they kind of detect where they might be through this meditation state, they invite the aliens to come down and like make contact with them. And the way they do that is they're like, okay, you're right up here in the universe. Now they do that, like the zoom out of the Earth, how you're like
Yeah.
getting farther and farther away from it. So
Right.
it's the opposite of that. Like you go from them and zoom down into the Earth, into your country, into your state, your city, and then you essentially just zoom down into your position, and it invites them to come down.
So you're focusing
Yeah.
the funnel into yourself.
Yeah, and I guess they're saying that the brain is so powerful that and they have all these other cool examples throughout the film. You got to see it, but how the brain and the mind is essentially a communication tool that they use. But yeah, crazy stuff. Like this dude essentially gets his hearing healed from an alien after like 50, 60 years. And they have a picture of this fucking like red-headed, like heart-shaped, diamond-shaped alien standing beside this dude. And the next day he wakes up. Like he asked the aliens to help him with his hearing. And he wakes up the next day and he's at breakfast. He didn't have his hearing aids in and realizes that he's not only hearing conversations at the table, but he's hearing conversations at like other tables, and like just breaks down in tears and yeah, really, really crazy stuff, bro.
Wow.
Like, yeah.
So is this a scientifically led documentary? So there's a lot of like, are they putting forth a lot of evidence to back up their
Absolutely,
their
yeah.
claims?
I would say it's more anecdotal, and it's a lot of like whistleblowers for the community of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
To gather
But
that
it's the
information.
most legit that I've seen amongst other like documentaries on the subject, and the
That's
best
really
footage,
cool.
best found footage I've ever seen.
That's really cool. It's kind of reminds me of something that I noticed about a week ago or so. I was at my mom's house kicking it, right? And we're talking. And in the middle of the Sunday broadcast, article comes up on CNN, UFOs sighting. Pentagon confirms that this is a UFO. We've got the picture. They're showing it, blah, blah, blah. It's like a 5-minute segment. And then, boom, back to normal.
Yeah,
I thought it was really interesting
it is.
that a Sunday midday segment, UFOs are real, and then, boom, back out.
Yeah, a lot of them, they're starting to come out now, and the documentary actually touches on this subject too, right? So, they show a video of Reagan, like in the 80s or so, whenever
Right.
he was in office, and they show a video of him talking to, I can't remember exactly where it was. Maybe it was like a UN conference or something like that. But he says the only way. And they say he slipped up doing this,
Right.
like he fucked up,
Right.
And it kind of showed his naivete towards the whole scenario. But basically, he says the only way that we're going to unite the world and to entice them into forming a one world government is by having a threat from outside of our Earth, right? So aliens could be that threat, right? So we all band together to fight against the scary aliens. You know what I'm saying? And that would be like the catalyst for creating a one world government. So now that they're saying that we're getting all this stuff from the Pentagon that's confirming all these things, they're kind of like maybe trying to set some fear into people, but like it could be a ploy to bind us together as a Earth and not,
Interesting.
yeah. But the thing is, like, they're making all this contact with aliens, and nobody's ever been hurt or harmed by contacting the aliens. They even have a video of us shooting something at like a UFO, and the UFO getting out of the way.
Of course.
And like it's like if that technology that they possess, they could take us out in an instant. They could blow the whole planet up. But why haven't they? Maybe they're not. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they're not destructive.
That and they don't care to.
And they don't care to. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're probably like an ant.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Only little kids walk around trying to smash anthills. You don't really give a fuck. You just walk past. It's an anthill.
Yeah.
You don't care about what the ant's doing.
Yeah.
And maybe that's our scenario. Yeah. I think what I was discussing with someone else is maybe we're really starting to see these articles come out because of the frequency.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to happen at such a rate, and we are in an extremely forwardly technological age, right, where people have the ability to photograph these things, where it was easier to kind of have these things be a little more secret in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
When, the best you can do with a camera was
Yeah, the
And that
footage
was the
looked like it
90s.
was taken with a potato.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that
Yeah.
was barely a good camera in the 90s.
Right.
So it's like these stories were just anecdotal. They were just people saying them. It could have been just
Mm-hmm.
cast off as a crazy man saying things that he saw, you know what I mean? They
Yep.
have those kind of ideas. But now that we live in a world where we have an immense amount of technology
Right.
that can see, photograph, I mean, people can now, so many things in our real world are coming to light more, that we have the ability to
Mhm.
capture things in real time.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the reason why the government and Pentagon and places like that have decided to openly talk about it now, because it's in such frequency that they could not, they wouldn't be able to handle, or they wouldn't be able to hide it anymore, because it's just out there.
Yeah.
You can continue to ignore it, but it's in such frequency.
It's also kind of crazy that like I was always had this idea of like, yo, if we ever did like find out there was aliens, like it would be this crazy thing across the world, and like everybody would trip out, and then it's almost like the exact opposite is happening. Like all this stuff is coming out, and it's like, oh yeah, we knew that. Like it's kind of like whatever.
Well, and I think maybe that's also the thing, is that we are so desensitized as a culture now that it wouldn't be the time to like tell us like, yeah, fucking aliens are real.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh, whatever, fucking Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You know, we just done. That's also when they came out. They told us that in 2020.
Yeah.
They told us that they have, through science, figured out that, yeah, we mathematically are on separate dimensions, and we're just one of them.
Yeah.
They said that during the Rona too, but they're just like, yeah, they're too busy worried about Corona and Donald Trump. They're not going to like listen to us about these aliens. So this is a good time to drop this article, and you spend 5 minutes talking about it, and you go back to CNN having the fucking death toll up there, and you're like, oh God.
Have you ever had any UFO experiences or anything like that?
I can only speak to one experience. Let's take a break real quick,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to tell you the story.
Let's do that.
What up, y'all? Let me tell you about another product I really like. This new thing I just found called Tappy. If you're an artist, if you're a business person, if you're anybody with anything that you want to share with people, maybe you're a designer, get this. It's a new business card. It's electronic, no paper, no thousands of cards in your pocket, just one. Anytime anybody asks, hey, what do you do, man? Pull it out, tap it on their phone. All the information's right there. Tappy. Go to our website at therealnessradiopodcast.com. Go all the way to the bottom and look at Tappy. Press get one, and you can order yours right now. Trust me, it's something you're interested in. Tappy. Cool, we back. So the only time that I can think that I've ever had a moment where I thought I saw something unusual in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done a lot of camping and stuff, and I've seen countless numbers of satellites,
Same.
you know, and stuff like where excuse me, y'all, where that object's moving, but it's a satellite. It's moving at a pace. You can kind of see it.
You could track it.
You could track it. We're out here in the desert. If you get it nice where there's no light pollution, you can see everything.
Looks like a little star just floating across the sky.
It looks like just a star moving.
I've seen it plenty of times.
And you can definitely tell. There was one time that I was coming back from California with one of my best friends who was a tattoo artist. And he was tattooing, and we were in the dead of the night driving back from Cali. And we just got in this big stretch of darkness, right? And you could see this beacon. You know the light towers that you kind of see that are like telephone poles that are tall?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have the light at the top so you can see the clearance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They use for planes and shit.
For planes and stuff. They know like, hey, don't fly low. There's a telephone pole or there's something there. Or you have those like towers that might have a light or something on it. It was weird. This light was like pulsating, and it kind of almost looked like different colors as it was pulsating.
Yeah.
But it was high. It was high enough in the sky, but it was also not high enough to like. That's not like that's a thing that's not. It's fixed. It's not moving, and it's not like a beacon where like those lights pulsate.
Yeah.
They turn on, they turn off, they turn on, they turn off, and that allows the flight people to know this thing kind of had this like pulsating hue to it, and it went through like this color thing, and it was just way too high up in the sky to be like a pole or any kind of anything that we know as.
It was hard to debunk.
Yeah, anything that we would know, like coming from Cali, the best thing that you could have said that I could have saw was like the giant one of like the giant windmills, and maybe a light at the top of one of those giant windmills.
Right.
But we weren't in an area where those were at, and those usually have like a red light at the top, not just like this orb of clear, that has like a bluish, then going to like, like you're messing, like I was messing with this light going through colors.
Yeah.
So I'd say that was, and we both looked at it and we were both like, we're both skeptical. So we're both like, nah, that's got to be a this. That's got to be a this. So we're just going through the list of like, nah, that's this, a this. Nah, that's a this. And then we're going, well, nah, you can't, like, we can see close enough to like, it's not structurally anything. You would be able to see the base of the tower. Then you're like, okay, it's not a plane, or it wouldn't be in a fixed spot. The light would eventually move. If it was a helicopter, if it was anything,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then it's just kind of be like, what the hell did we just see? Like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, it kind of blows your mind.
It just kind of blows your mind when you go, what the fuck was that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there'll be some dude who's like, hey man, there's a light up there, and this is how it works. And it was, I still have that like, hey man, I could have saw something that is, very common out there that I just didn't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
like, hey man, you didn't see it. It was really a pole right there, and it really does this or whatever. But at the time, I could not put the facts in my head to be like, hey man, like this is a that, or this is clearly a this. It was just like a thing out there.
Yeah.
So who knows? I'd say that was my only time that I was like, hey, that's questionable.
Yeah, I've had some like questionable ones too, but there's only one like significant one that I really remember where I'm like, that could have been very well could have been aliens. And I think I was in middle school, maybe 6th, 7th grade. I went to Lake Pleasant with my neighbor.
Nice.
His family like invited me and stuff, and
That's fucking dope.
me and him were in the back of the camper, and they were driving up. And it was one of those campers that like you just kind of like set on the back of the truck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And but it did had like a little bench bed in it, you know, and we were just chilling back there. And we get up to Lake Pleasant like really late at night. It had to be like midnight or later. And so we just kind of pull up. We don't even set up camp. Like everyone just kind of chills. Like his dad like slept in the cab, you know, and me and him just slept in the back in the camper. And I was laying there on the bed and I was looking out the little window that was on the side. And I was just kind of looking up at the stars, and I see these three. They look like stars as well. There are 3 lights, same size as the stars, but they were obviously like a lot closer. You know what I'm saying? And they weren't uniformed or anything. They were all kind of doing this little dance. You know what I'm saying? They were going different directions. And I'm just remember, looking at it like that. Like, that's weird. Like, those lights are moving in tandem, but not like it wasn't like choreography or anything, but it was
like
just
fish.
moving. Yeah, it was kind of like fish. They were just going like this, and and to this day, like even as a kid, like I don't even think that was like a little kid thing where it was like I didn't know what I was seeing, but it struck me as like this is
unexplainable.
Planes don't move like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Everything in your head logically says, this is not normal. Like, okay, like when I saw the satellites, I was whitewater rafting. I was probably in middle school, so I was younger, but I was well aware that like those are satellites. They move in this kind of direction. They're doing, you know what I mean? They're linear. They're, you can know enough, you know what I mean, to be like, okay, we've seen enough unsolved mysteries and shit. You know what I mean? We've seen enough X-Files, but like you definitely look and you go, well, that can't be. Nah. And then you're trying to like, especially if you're a rational person. I mean, somebody who is maybe a little more gullible or maybe under an influence would just be like, yeah, there it is. It's aliens. You know what I mean? And they're just easily willing to jump to that conclusion. But I'm also willing to not. So I'm like, no, that could be so many things.
The first thing I will do is try to debunk it.
I will try to debunk it as hard as I can.
For sure, yeah.
Before I go like, okay, that was something I can't explain. Right. And like, lights moving in that kind of like whirly, going back and forth pattern where they're just up there. You'd be like, yeah, dog. Planes don't fly like that. Helicopters don't even do that kind of flight pattern. Nothing that we know currently of our aviation
Mm-hmm.
flies in that pattern.
Yeah.
So who knows? And the way that we've seen them over Arizona a lot, especially in Phoenix,
Oh yeah, the Phoenix has
The-
one of the most
prolific.
craziest
Yeah,
experiences.
they're
Yeah,
the Phoenix Lights.
the Phoenix Lights. Yeah.
Yep. They see them out there a little more often than not. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe we lucked out and we don't have natural disasters here in Arizona, but we have aliens, guys.
Yeah.
So
and we have a lot of big telescopes here too.
Yeah.
So because like we have big desert with
Yep.
a lot of open sky, so
less sky pollution.
less light pollution. Yeah, it's so I wouldn't be surprised if we have more activity than most places do.
Yeah, well, we don't have tornadoes, we don't have hurricanes, but
Mhm.
we just found out apparently we got aliens. So if you're moving to Arizona,
And you can contact them.
yeah, apparently you can contact them.
Yeah.
There's a documentary telling you about it.
Oh yeah.
But Phoenix has had a number of lights that have appeared in the sky doing random things
Yeah.
in triplicates and not flying these patterns
Yeah.
right over the city. It is
Mhm.
it's crazy that we're at a point right now where it's more common. And
Mhm.
we're like you said, when we were kids and they talked about aliens, I would have thought the moment that the United States and that the world would put on national news that we can say that these things aren't from here, we'd be screaming in the streets and
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
panicking like a movie. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? People are just losing their shit and nobody cares.
Yeah. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. It's not even really talked about. And for the rest of us who do, we're just yeah, of course there are aliens.
I think what'll actually do that is some Independence Day shit where it's
Yeah.
cloudy and this giant mothership just comes out of the cloud and settles over a fucking
Dude.
major city, and then that's when the shit's gonna hit the fan. You know what I'm saying?
That is where the I've always believed this, going back to what you had said earlier before the break. That is true, that if we saw a threat from outside of our world,
Mhm.
it would be the one thing that got this country lying together
Yeah.
like nobody's business.
Mhm.
Because then it would be dude, I don't care what color, what skin, what
Yeah.
creed,
Not even the country,
what
the world.
what gender you
Yeah.
are. It is us against them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We're in a whole new level of shit right now. We don't even
Absolutely.
speak the same language, but that dude doesn't speak any language on this planet. So we need to get together.
Yep.
So that would be that moment. That Independence Day moment would be. I can't even.
It's terrifying, but I'm there's a part of me that just wants it to happen.
Right. I
You
just
know,
want
it's
some
like
entertainment.
the Jurassic Park
Yeah.
thing. That's terrifying, but
I want
I
it
would
to
be
happen.
there. You know what I'm saying? I want it
Well,
to
then
happen.
then it goes back to a conversation that we've had off mic before. It goes to that thing that the Indians never saw the boats
Yes.
because they could not. They
They didn't know what a
they
boat
couldn't
was. They didn't-
fathom
yeah.
what that was.
Yeah.
Does this thing come in through the clouds on a misty day? How do we?
That would be a really
Excuse me.
crazy psychological phenomenon to see okay, a bunch of people saw this object, but a whole heap of people did not even realize it. They never
At
saw
all.
it. They looked up, it wasn't there. What kind of crazy shit's going on in our brains, you know?
Right. And in the world that we live in, where we are so used to, and we've done so well with Hollywood animation and things like that, that would, if this thing touched down in Tokyo
Mhm.
and we're watching it on TV, like 9/11, part of us didn't believe that it was even happening.
Mm-mm.
It was too
You're
real.
am I watching what I think I'm
Yeah, is
watching?
this Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
What are we watching right now? Is this a fucking Michael Bay movie? What is happening? And it's literally happening.
Yeah.
And the world couldn't believe. So if this thing touches down in fucking Tokyo,
Yeah.
half of the world would be like, this is a movie, right? Or this is just some fucking CGI. Is this some new prank? Is this like a new TikTok or something? What the
Yeah.
fuck's going on here?
I think 9/11, just to kind of stray a little bit, 9/11 actually opened a lot of people's eyes, especially mine as a youth, opened up my eyes to the idea that people are fucking horrible.
People are weird.
You know what I'm saying? Because when I saw that plane hit the tower, I was like, how did that happen? Did the pilot fall asleep? What
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The first thought in my mind wasn't that somebody took that plane and flew it at
No,
that building.
not
You know
mine
what I'm
either.
saying? So it was very eye-opening as a child to see that and be like, oh wow, people can be horrible. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
There's
For me, it was one of the moments. We had
Yeah.
definitely had Columbine by then.
Yeah, oh yes, that was another one.
That
for
was
sure.
probably the
Yeah.
one that was more of the thing that was like, oh shit, like oh, like this can happen.
Yes.
Like, and this is real. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That kid, when you saw the footage, even it still gives me chills
Dude,
to this day to
that-
watch the
I just watched
actual
that footage recently. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're right. It still gave me like
It's-
this weird,
It
eerie
still
feeling.
gives you
yeah.
this weird, eerie, creepy feeling. And the worst thing that makes it even feel worse is that you know that it's real.
Yeah.
You know that this is not a movie set, that this
Mhm.
is real footage from what really happened.
Yeah.
And it was a fucking massacre. So it was like, with all of those things happening in our lifetime, how do we then conceptualize something coming out of the sky? and think of it like this: it's not gonna, things don't happen like we want them in the movie, so it's not gonna like come over L.A.
Mm-hmm.
or New York or fucking Paris. It's gonna go over like Omaha, Nebraska. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna go over some random place, and then all of a sudden we're just gonna have this thing up there.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Yeah. I
What do
don't
we
know.
do? It really begs the question of like,
Probably can't do shit.
well, I mean, definitely there's a good chance that we can do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, what
is the first step though?
What
Like,
is
are
the
we-
first step?
Do we try
And
to
what
make
do
contact?
you-
Yeah. Like,
like what do you two questions.
do we show a threat?
Two questions, right?
Yeah.
That I think goes two hands. What does the government do? So what does the government do with their thoughts? Like, do they go, we're going to try to talk to them, or are we going to threat a level assess the threat level and try to do something? Or are we going to talk to the United Nations and come together as like, or just is the United States going to unilaterally act, or Russia? You know what I mean? And then it begs the question, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
This shit pops on all of our phones. You're at work. I'm at work. Shit pops on your phone.
I think I'm fucking bouncing out of work,
For sure.
racing home,
For sure.
loading my AR. Like, I don't know what else I would do. Like,
gonna
what
rebuy
are we
mine.
doing? You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to rebuy mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just, it really begs that question of, you know, what do you do? Do you race home to your family? Like, is it panic in the streets? What kind of world do we live in?
Yeah.
It would be an interesting time, and to think about it, like we're bringing this up right now as hypotheticals, but now in our lifetime, we're closer than ever to knowing that is a real thing.
It's a possibility for sure.
It's a possibility, and it's less of a movie concept. It does go with last week's episode, right?
Yeah.
Where we're talking about technologically, we have come to the point where, yeah, dude, we could fucking do Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
But we've also, in our lifetimes, come so forward that, like, hey, man, aliens are real, too.
Yes.
Like, that was a movie thing. Like, Independence Day is a movie. And I'm thinking, all this in my head, I'm thinking Independence Day. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
a
you
classic.
know, maybe they'll do this on 4th of July and Will Smith will come save us again, bro. Like,
Yeah.
he's a good guy, bro. Maybe he'll come and save us again.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, maybe we'll get another movie out of this. But, like, what do the worlds do? Like, what does fucking President Joe Biden do? You know what I mean? That would be the only time where I'd want Trump back in the White House.
Right?
Never in my life would I ever say that sentence. But that would be the one time where I want Trump back in the White House so that he could just give the aliens the vibrato. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you guys are coming to the greatest planet that has ever been. We are the greatest civilization. I need that guy
Yeah.
to be the guy.
They
Like,
think they're so smart.
we are so great. This is a magnificent place. Welcome to Mar-a-Lago.
They think they're the best dancers.
These aliens are coming out of the skies. Like,
Oh, my God.
that's the only time that I want President Trump
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
is if aliens come, Biden.
Oh my God, because
Just-
that's a movie right there.
That's a
dude.
movie,
Oh,
dude.
that's
If we
a
survive,
movie,
it just wrote itself.
yeah.
If we
Just-
survive,
Just
if-
Putin and Trump against the aliens.
yeah, dude,
bro.
against the aliens, both of them, dude, just out there. It's like a buddy cop movie. It's like a fucking buddy cop movie, and they're like, they're homies. And Trump's like, Putin, we have to stop this. It's going down. These aliens are coming over the border, and they're still bringing Mexicans. And we're like, bro,
Oh my
they
God.
live here. Come on, man. Like, bro.
They're rapists.
These aliens are rapists, and they're bringing drugs. And they're really good because I've tried them all. Like, I mean, it would be the most apropos time to have that man in office is aliens. See, that's what kind of president he had, where I can only imagine him in comical situations and
Yeah,
not in
dude.
real life ones.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, yeah, dude, if aliens attack President Trump, that's the one you want. That's the guy you want.
Oh, my
Joe
God.
Biden will be boring. He'll be like, well, let's figure out the
Yeah.
science and like, let's go talk to him. And I'll be like, yeah, Joe, that's cool. But like, fucking rip off your shirt and fucking take an AR out there and Rambo the situation.
What's the movie where the aliens, is it like Sector 8 or something like that, where they have like their own like little tent cities and
That's
shit?
damn, you had it close. too.
It's close to that. It's like
something-
Section 8 or something like that.
9
No,
or
not
something.
Section 8.
Section 8. Poor people.
Yeah, I think that's what
I think
about,
that
that's
was a-
what Biden would bring about. I think.
I think that's a different community that you're thinking about. I
Oh,
think that's a
shit.
different community, my friend.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man. I can't imagine the world we live in. Like, dude, your kids are gonna be in a world where like aliens are just like, yeah, dude, they're up there somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, there's just like in the news today, there's aliens. They're up there. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Did you hear about that little girl that was, I don't know, I think she's like 13, 14, 15, but she's like completed all of like the astronaut training or something like that.
Really?
Like she's training to be the first person to go to Mars. But she's like a young child and just hella smart and has gone through all this like NASA training, I want to say.
Where's her parents at?
I don't know.
Don't let that baby go to Mars.
But I wonder if like, is she getting like recruited?
She
You
can't,
know what I'm
she
saying?
can't go to Mars, man.
Why not?
Because the first 100 people to go to Mars, they dying. Okay, you
Yeah.
got to be the like 750 person to Mars. You
Yeah.
can't be in the first 100. Okay, they're gonna die. That little 13-year-old baby, we gonna watch her grow up, and she's gonna be all cute and shit. And then we gonna blast her off, and then we're gonna be a news feed of her stuck up in Mars, and we're gonna watch that bitch die.
That'd be crazy.
So
I hope we do see that though in our lifetime. Like we see like a small civilization on the moon or something like that. you
I'd
know?
rather see us colonize the moon before we colonize Mars.
Yeah. I mean, Mars is the new moon, the moon of the 70s, you know,
Oh,
or
for
the
sure.
60s.
Oh,
You know
for
what I'm
sure.
saying? Like Mars is that for us.
That's
but,
our new space race. It's to
Yeah.
Mars.
Yeah.
We're trying to get to Mars, and we're trying to get on that rock and do something with it. I honestly would rather see us colonize the moon and understand more about that, or maybe get a fraction of that money and figure out what's going on in the ocean.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that's where the aliens are.
Mhm.
Pretty sure they're just down there in those deep crevices. 'cause
Well, they
we don't
they
know
just
what's in there.
discovered a new cephalopod. Did you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, that little octopus looking
Yep.
thing. It looks pretty crazy.
It looks dope as fuck.
Yeah.
It looks dope as fuck.
But there's so much crazy shit down there.
I mean, that's the thing is we only have charted like 10% of it.
Mm-hmm.
We know literally more about the surface of the moon than we do our own oceans.
Yeah.
We have so much more. I mean, the dark side of the fucking moon. We know more side, which is no such thing because it rotates. But we know more about that
Right.
than we do the ocean's creatures. They find new species every day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm super excited about finding some, like, super megalodon shit or, you know
Well,
what
see,
I'm
that's
saying?
the thing, dude, is some of that shit. Okay, so some of the craziest shit has to be down in depths of the ocean, right?
Mhm.
And there's been recorded of, like, animals that have been down there, like whales that have fallen down there with, like, giant chunks bitten out of them of, like,
Yeah.
like stuff that's like, hey, man, we don't have records for teeth marks like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if they were such a creature that they needed to be at such depths, we would never see them, right? Because if they're at a depth that they live that we don't go down to because we only have a level that we can reach right now, and they would not have the body structure to go to the surface or would have the need to go to the surface.
Right.
Maybe their food source is not there. We
What-
would never see them, right?
I'm kind of also interested in the fact that, like, all right, so we had, like, Pangea and different,
Right.
our continents were all
Right.
different back in the day, billions of years ago. But,
Yep.
like, I forget the dude's name who studies, like, ancient civilizations. But anyway, like, imagine going down to a depth that we've never discovered before
Mm-hmm.
and just, like, people digging in the dirt and finding out these, like, villages and,
Yeah.
finding all that stuff. What if we find, like, some proof of ancient civilization that would just, like, blow all of our history textbooks out of the water with new, like, it would
I
rewrite
believe it.
history. You know what I'm saying?
I
But
believe
it's not a species down there, but it's
It's a new fact that would change the way that we
yeah,
perceive.
it's like a a colony or something that
Right. That would predated everything
predated,
that we know.
and
I
it
mean,
was
they're starting,
smarter than we thought,
we're starting to have that more and more, right? Where
Mhm.
we're starting to find out that there's stuff that they're finding through these archaeologists, paleontologists, and people that are
Yeah.
finding out that we're starting to find things that are dated back further than we really knew.
Mhm.
You know, and me and you have talked about this, and we'll probably get into it a little deeper on a different podcast. But the rainfall in the pyramids, and how is there rainfall in the pyramids if it hasn't rained in the pyramids in blah 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 so many years?
Yeah.
That means that they date back further than we knew.
Mhm.
The idea that there was other civilizations would honestly be more that situation, right?
Mhm.
It would have been because
Like in Atlantis, you know
it
what
would
I'm
have been
saying?
underground,
Yeah.
and it could be underground under the ocean.
Mhm.
So it could be that much more further underground, and now it's under the ocean.
Part of the terrain that was actually at one point above water, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was 1 point above water. These tectonics of plates have shifted for millions of years. Honestly, the civilization that would be existing would be under us.
Mhm.
It would be leagues and leagues under us.
Yeah.
And we never really put that exploration into it, right? We always go above us, but we have certain things we dig under us to get minerals.
Right.
But we never really think about how many civilizations would have been just covered on top of and mowed over, just
Yeah.
the earth moving, just the earth doing what the earth does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who knows how many times the world could have came to this level of success and just been buried over.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you
Mhm.
go down there, like you said, you go down there, they find something, and like it's something so astronomical, like it's a version of the iPhone,
Right.
but it's like an ancient version of the iPhone, but it's just as technologically smart as ours. But at some point, their civilization
Wiped out. Yep.
was erased by the creature that we know as the Earth,
Mhm.
covered over it, absorbed it into itself. We have new land and new here, and here we are,
Yeah. That
The
would
earth
be
washed it
phenomenal.
away.
Yeah.
brand new.
I think it'd be so cool just to find out that everything that we know is only the tip of the iceberg. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think
truly,
it is.
I truly believe that is
Mhm.
the fact that the things that we do know are barely the tip of the iceberg. I mean, on the Apple TV right now, you can see these jellyfish. I mean,
Mhm.
jellyfish are a remarkable creature.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And some of the, there's single cell, like like there's organisms. They're like, hey man, if that thing dies, it always clones itself and repeats itself. Like it's been alive forever. It'll never die. Like there's things about these creatures that we cohabitate with that we still don't have any understanding. Like there's a nervous system in that thing,
Yeah.
and it's doing what it's doing, but like we can see through it. There's no like brain. There's no need for higher reasoning and function,
Yeah.
but still it operates off just a nervous system and a way to feed. What? What?
Yeah.
Like we just have no conception. As smart as we are, we still only know so much about that. And then we go out and we're like, oh, that's a new jellyfish.
Yeah.
We didn't even know that one existed.
I've been talking about this with a few people. I think Hamilton Morris kind of sparked this idea
Mhm.
in my brain, but like I'm a lover of psychedelics and things like that.
Right.
But most psychedelics and entheogens come from land. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like I'd be so happy to find out that we found like like if you inhale like a dolphin fart or something, like you're gonna you're gonna
would be a-
trip balls.
it would
You know
be
what
a
I'm saying? But no, like some
Yeah.
sort of chemical
Right.
that maybe it's in a jellyfish's tentacles that
Easily.
they extract or
Easily.
something that you don't know, and it's just this phenomenal like psychedelic like.
Easily. I mean,
And what would that be like? Like
there's
that's
so
crazy.
many fish in the sea that, like, me being a nerd fish lover, bro, there's so many, like, puffers and other things that have these toxins and these other things that, like, we don't know what kind of, hallucinogenic properties or kind of things that it does hold
Mhm.
or would hold if
Right.
we used it in that manner,
Yeah.
or, civilizations and people who have used it for other reasons,
Right.
and we just don't know. And we just don't commonly know, or we wouldn't have known because we in Western civilization see it, we have our own ways of medicine and thinking
Right.
where some islanders have been doing that for years and we just didn't know.
Yeah, or we have a species of human that was like a water species, and I think that is very plausible.
I mean, we are a huge water planet, so I mean, and we're still made up of a lot of water. So I mean, and the idea, see, this is the thing that I like to think of because I'm a big science fiction person, but the idea of all these things that they've talked about have to come from somewhere, right? They have to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Most of these things, like, we're humans and we only can perceive and conceive the things that we can experience, right?
Yeah.
So if there is...
They're like archetypes of our psyche that are embedded in there from somewhere.
From somewhere.
Like, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Like, if there was a mermaid or an idea of that, where does that come from?
Yeah.
Like, someone somewhere had to conceptually come up with that or have seen something to make them believe that this was a possibility.
Right.
You know what I mean? And maybe some of those can just be some falsehoods where, like, hey, you just saw somebody swimming and you just thought, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then...
But it triggered something.
Yeah. And there's so many
like
of
a dragon.
these.
Like, where
a
did
dragon.
Yeah.
Where do you even get the idea of that? You know, the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, those kind of things. You had to have thought or seen or something to give you that concept. Again, it's that same thought of the boat. We wouldn't be able to conceive it if we didn't see it or know it.
Yeah.
So they had no conception. So for these people to have created these things, however far back these lore go, there had to be some conception of these things for our minds to then create it, create a word for it, have an idea behind it. So who knows what we got going? Who knows at this point? Because we're so far removed from when the people who could have initially told us these things, you know, or get the research from it. Like we said, it could be under these dolphins so far below that we'll never know.
Yeah.
So, man, this has been an episode, bro.
Deep one.
This has been an episode.
I liked it.
This has been a good one.
Yeah.
Y'all, thanks for listening. We always appreciate y'all. Please like, comment, subscribe, and you already know that if you want to get a hold of your boy, I'm at Superior Shrek on Instagram.
And I am Prolific Pappy, also on IG. And, if you have any UFO stories, have you seen Bigfoot? Have you seen the Loch Ness Monster? Let us know.
Even some ghosts, man. We'll probably get into that one next week. You know, I kind of want to have that story conversation. So, yes, drop some comments. Let us know. And again, please like, comment, subscribe. Join us again next week for the Realness.
See ya.